Hello everybody, welcome to another tier list video. This time we're gonna be starting. This is gonna be a bit of a series I'm gonna do. Just because I'm bored and looking for something to do. We're going to be ranking, or I will be ranking, uh, every Generation 1 Pokemon, and we're gonna be doing this all the way up until Generation 8, as well as I guess you could say a bit of a celebration of Generation 9's release or announcement. So first up we have Bulbasaur. So I'm just gonna drop this here. Not a huge fan of Bulbasaur. Really any of the line, but I don't mind Ivysaur. Mainly because in Smash I like to play Pokemon Trainer, and Ivysaur is really cool. I'm also gonna slap Venusaur with it. The reason why is just because I don't know. I don't like the design of it. I'm not a huge grass type Pokemon fan, so I'm not a huge fan of any of either of the three. Next up, we have Charmander. I'm gonna also put it in B tier. Again, it's a nice Pokemon. Like I get why it's a fan favorite, but personally myself, I find it to just be a little bit like one of those things that it's like you see it so much that it's just become kind of annoying to see. Charmeleon, one of the first like awkward middle stages. I feel the one horn just kind of feels weird to me. And I don't know. It's just I'm not. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the Charmander line. In general, Charizard. I will put it in A tier though because it's Charizard. I don't really feel like. I feel like I really can't put it anywhere else. It's really cool. I probably should have found one that had the Mega Evolutions, but oh well. Next up, we have Squirtle. So I'm gonna put Squirtle in A tier, in the head of A tier because I really like Squirtle. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. Along with Blastoise, but I'm actually gonna get to Blastoise in a minute. Because we have a really interesting middle stage being Wartortle. Really kind of plays into like like the I can't think of the exact name of it, but the mythical like tortoise in Japanese mythology. It would have been really cool if they would have added on to it by making Blastoise or whatever its name may be based off that as well. But overall, I think Wartortle is a really cool Pokemon and doesn't get enough love from Game Freak or the fans. And Blastoise, our first S tier Pokemon. I gotta say, it's probably one of my favorite Pokemon out of Generation 1. Just because, like, it's a giant tortoise with guns on its back. Like, really, what else could be cooler than that? So, I feel like it's kind of, for me, a bit of, like, a requirement that it's on there. Next up, we have Caterpie. I'm actually put Caterpie in B tier because the caterpillar it's based off of is, like, honestly kind of terrifying. And that's why, and it's hilarious that like Caterpie is such like an adorable Pokemon, but then you just look at its like real counterpart, and it's absolutely horrendously terrifying. Next up, we have Metapod. I'm gonna put Metapod down in E tier. Really, it's Metapod. Nothing really too much to say about it. Butterfree, I'm also gonna put in B tier alongside Caterpie. It's really cool to me, at least. It's got some interesting moves. Even though its stats are terrible, it's got great moves like Bug Buzz, Psychic, Hurricane, Quiver Dance, Roost. So if you're playing it competitively, Butterfree does have options, but really outside of that, it's pretty useless, especially since it's got so many weaknesses. Next up, we have Weedle. I'm gonna put it in D tier. I'm not a huge fan of this line either. But Beedrill. Beedrill I actually like as well. Honestly, it's just Weedle that I kind of don't like. So I'm gonna actually put Kakuna in A tier because of the fact that it's got a tie. If you notice the little like bit right there in the middle is a tie. It's just such a weird addition that is like it needs to be like respected. Next up, we have Beedrill. One of the best parts of the Kanto anime was seeing Beedrill, hordes of Beedrill attacking just about anybody. Other than that, I mean, really, it's again just like Butterfree. It sucks as a member of a team, but as a design, I really like it. Next up, we have Pidgey. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Honestly, this is where I feel like a lot of the Kanto thing is just kind of like it's a bit boring. Nothing really to go off of. It's just a bird. But Pidgeotto also C tier for the same reason as is Pidgeot. N- Nothing too interesting with this evolution line. They don't really have very good moves, very good stats, and their design is just really basic. Rattata, I'm gonna put in B. No, I'm putting it in S tier. So youngster Joey, right? I feel like that's all I gotta say there is youngster Joey. Rattata F tier because it's not Rattata. Eradicate F tier because it's not Rattata. Spearow, I'm gonna put it also in C tier. No, I'm gonna put it in B tier just because it has more of a personality than Pidgey. As will Fearow because again it has more personality than Pidgeotto and Pidgeot. Just because it's more of like an aggressive bird, which is why it's called Fearow and Spearow. They're supposed to be more of like a offensive kind of more dangerous in real life kind of thing. Next up, we have Snake, Ekans, C tier. Nothing really to say about it. I mean, it's a nice design. It looks nice. But where it really shines is Arbok, A tier. The designs on its uh, stomach, I guess you could say, its chest, whatever, looks really nice. That's really all I gotta say about it because I really don't know a huge amount about Arbok. Other than that, it's pretty terrible outside of having Intimidate. Pikachu, I'm gonna put it right next to Charizard because it has the exact same reason why it's gonna be an A tier, is because it's Pikachu. Raichu, I'm actually gonna also put in A tier because I actually much prefer Raichu over Pikachu. I think Raichu is actually a really cool Pokemon that people don't really look at because of Pikachu and it like all the attention it gets. So everyone just is like, screw Pikachu and whatever's related to it, including Raichu, which is unfortunate. Next up, we have Sandshrew. I'm gonna put Sandshrew in C tier actually, and I'm gonna put Sandslash in B tier. I think that Sandshrew's a decent looking Pokemon, but I really think Sandslash really adds on to the design, and it works really, really well. Nidoran, I'm gonna do Nidoran and Nidoran. I'm gonna do Nidoran male and female at the same time. I'm gonna put Nidoran female and Nidoran. I'm gonna actually put Nidoran female in D tier, Nidoran male in C tier. Uh, an intimidating Pokemon that's purple. I mean, really, it's kind of a feat. But really, I mean, Nidoran female has always kind of looked awkward to me. Whether it be in a model or a sprite or artwork like this, it's always just kind of looked a little awkward to me. Nidorino, C tier, really fixes a lot of the problems Nidoran female has. Nidorino, same reason as Nidorino going up a tier is it really builds off of what uh, Nidoran male was doing, made it more intimidating, more spikes in it. It looks really cool. Plus, these are probably some of my favorite evolution lines out of Kanto. Uh, Nidoran female, Nidoqueen in A tier, Nidoran and Nidoking in S tier. Nidoqueen is really cool, but it can't breed with Nidoran male, so it sucks. Not really, but I prefer Nidoran male just for the fact that like it's a much more offensive Pokemon, whether it's Nidoran male, Nidorino, or Nidoqueen, Nidoking. Lots of Nidos. Or and then Nidoqueen is art is it has pretty terrible defenses, even though it has more defenses than Nidoking. And it's not one of my favorite Pokemon to use. It's a really cool design, but I just don't like using it. Whereas Nidoking, I absolutely love to use. Clefairy, I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's adorable, and really, it's got an interesting backstory with it being like from the moon. So it's like, oh, it's kind of like the thing of like, oh, Pokemon are not all Pokemon are from Earth or on Earth. There may even be Pokemon from other planets in the solar system that could be like associated because they are Pokemon. Something that I'm surprised Pokemon actually hasn't like gone around yet. On Clefable D tier. This comes from a personal hatred of mine. Playing Showdown, constantly fighting Clefable with Stealth Rock, Toxic Stall. It's just it annoys me. Just looking at that pink blob annoys me. Vulpix, I'm gonna put it in C tier. It's another really nice looking Pokemon. But I feel like it's heavily outclassed in design by Ninetales. There are some Pokemon that can pull off their pre-evolution better than their fully evolved form. Something like uh, Rattata and Raticate. Although I did kind of rank Raticate a little poorly. I'll put it in E tier. Just because it's not too bad, I guess. But Ninetales and Vulpix, I really like Fire type Pokemon, and they're Fire type Pokemon. Ninetales also having a really cool backstory off of a Japanese yokai. Super awesome design, and they really connected it well to the actual like thing that it's based off of. Next up, we have Jigglypuff going up into S tier. So, Jigglypuff is one of my other favorite Pokemon. In fact, my desk has 3 things of Jigglypuff on it. My Jigglypuff amiibo, a Jigglypuff 25th anniversary, uh, the little figurines they did, the silver ones. And then I actually have one from Japan from when Gen 1 was out. So, same thing goes for Squirtle. Squirtle was I actually have just as much Squirtle as I do Jigglypuff. And almost the exact same things, except for switching out the Japanese figure with a pop vinyl. So, I guess you could say I could put Pop Squirrel up in S tier, but Jigglypuff, I main Jigglypuff in Smash, regardless of if it's OG Smash, Melee, Brawl, Smash 4, or Ultimate. I will always play Jigglypuff. And it's great. Wigglytuff, honestly, I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's just stretched out Jigglypuff. It's it's kind of awkward looking to me. Zubat F tier. It's Zubat. I one of the main issues I have with Gen 1 is the amount of Zubat I encounter in any cave. It's annoying. I hate looking at it. Golbat, I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's a cool Pokemon, but like I don't know, I just find it to be a little weird with the giant mouth. I don't know. I do like Crobat though, so I guess it's got decent moves that it's interesting to use, but it's also got a it like the design is cool. It's a very nice growth from Zubat into Crobat. Next up we have Oddish. Oddish is gonna go in C tier. No, I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's just a radish with eyes. Plus, again, I'm not a huge fan of grass types. Although Gloom, I am gonna put it in B tier because the fact that it becomes like a nice, sweet like radish into like an emo flower that also smells terribly is honestly hilarious. And then Plume also gonna go down to C tier. It could have it feels like they were going for something different when they went to Gloom from Oddish. They were like, no, let's just go back to the original design. Because, like, look at Oddish and Vileplume next to each other, and then look at Gloom and Vileplume. They look so different that it was very clearly two separate ideas that they just randomly decided to ditch. It did keep the flower, though. Paris, F tier. If you play Legends Arceus, you understand why. Parasecto, I'm going to put it in A tier because like again, it's got a really cool progression from Paris to Parasect. So it's a really clean type thing. It's also a crab, which not a lot of people think of. People think that it's other animals or like some kind of bug. Although it is supposed to be a bug, it is actually also based off a crab, slightly. Plus the mushroom on his back actually being just a like mind control device. It's really cool. And I feel like it probably should have been given like a ghost type. But it's really cool. It's unfortunately not very good. Venonat, honestly, I'm gonna put it in E tier. I'm just not a huge fan of it. It's also not. It's also not the pre-evolution to Caterpie. Venomoth, I'm gonna put it in A tier. I really like Venomoth. I've also had a lot of fun sweeping teams in low tiers of competitive Pokemon singles with Quiver Dance Venomoth. I find it quite hilarious when people don't realize that a Venomoth is going to sweep your entire team. Diglett, C tier. It's just kind of middle of the road to me. Nothing too interesting about it, although it can learn Slash and Cut and Scratch and not double slap. It can learn like other like hand moves, even though it doesn't have hands. Dugtree, I want to put it in D tier just because it's 3 Diglett just shoved together. And that's going to be coming back soon. Next up, we have Meowth. I'm going to put it in A tier. It's mainstay in the anime, and it's really... Team Rocket's Meowth is really awesome as a Pokemon. It sucks in battle, although it has really interesting type diversity with learning moves like Thunderbolt, Bubble Beam, Slash. Like, it has such huge diverse move pool that the Meowth in the anime never gets to use. Persian, I'm gonna put in B tier just because, like, again, it's just similar to what Pokemon was that I said looks awkward in models and that. Oh yeah, it was Nidorino. And Nidoran female. To me, Persians always kind of looked a little awkward. So I don't know. It's a cool Pokemon. I like it still, but it's always just kind of looks slightly awkward. Psyduck, I'm gonna put in B tier. Uh, it's unappealing to me. Not too interesting. Golduck, I'm also gonna put it in B tier. Because really it should have gotten a psychic typing. I don't understand why it doesn't, because it's based mostly off of like headaches and like mind stuff. It learns psychic by level up and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, like, it's a bit of a stark contrast between evolutions, which is fine in some cases, but at the same time, when it almost becomes like a completely different animal. I don't know, I just find that weird. Mankey, I'm putting in C tier. Not too interesting, not too different to what a regular monkey looks like. Although it does have a lot of personality, I'm not saying that I don't like it. It's just middle of the road. Primate, I'm actually gonna put it in A tier. Punchy monkey funny. Uh, Honestly, that's about all I have to say about it. Uh, Although it dies, like it literally gets so mad it dies, which is beautiful. Growlithe, I'm putting in C tier. It's a really cool Pokemon, but at the same time, it's Arcanine's better. Which I'm gonna put Arcanine in A tier. It was originally a legendary Pokemon, so I guess that's why it probably would look so great. It's got nice stats, so I could like in any Kanto playthrough I have, I could always pick up a Growlithe or something. Depending on the version I have, because it is version exclusive with Meowth. But I could always use it and run it with physical or special, so it could fit multiple roles on a team. So I've used it a handful of times, and really it's pretty solid. Not only as a Pokemon with stats and moves, but also by design. Poliwag, I'm putting in B tier. It's a really nice looking Pokemon. Super basic, but also like really cute and uh, not too boring, but also not too interesting. Poliwhirl, I'm gonna put it in A tier, just because it adds a lot more of personality to it, of like more of like an interested, or like a curious child. Plus, if you also notice, uh, the swirl on Poliwhirl reverses Poliwag reverses when it evolves in Poliwhirl. And lastly, we have Polygraph. I'm going to put it back into B tier with Poliwag, just because it doesn't really add much to the design of Poliwhirl. It just becomes strong, a buffer, and taller. Abra, I'm going to put it in D tier just because I'm not a huge fan of like the basis of it, of just only learning teleport by level up. Makes it super annoying to train, super annoying to use, and kind of ruins the Pokemon for me. Cadaver, I'm going into A tier. It's the one I've used the most of the out of the Alakazam line. Just because I've never really been able to trade when playing Kanto games, so if I'm using a Psychic type, it's typically just Kadabra. Or something else like Hypno. Next up, Alakazam. I'm going to put it in B tier just because there's a lot of designs on Kadabra that just kind of go away when it evolves in Alakazam. Plus, there's also the tail that goes away, so it's like a lot of like the main like identifiable features of Kadabra just vanish when evolving into Alakazam. Plus, spoons. The Mega Evolution is great because it does it get rid of the spoons? I don't remember. Machop, I'm also gonna put it in D tier just for the fact that it always looks awkward in models and sprites. Or actually, no, not sprites, but models. As well as the anime, it's always just kind of weirded me out. I don't know, it just seems like really saggy, which is not too great to look at. We're also like less than halfway through. Next up, we have Machoke. I'm gonna put it in C tier. As a big wrestling fan, it's nice to see that like a I don't know if you would call it a wrestler or a boxer or something. But Machoke is really nice. It's got the title belt, even though it's like it's part of its organ, like anatomy, which is kind of weird. Next up, we have Machamp. I'm actually gonna put it in A tier, just because of Goro. Goro is awesome, and Machamp is basically Goro. Although it can learn weird moves like Fire Blast and Flamethrower. Kind of weird, even though it has like no special attack. Bellsprout, I'm gonna put it in C tier. It's super boring to me. I don't know. Not a huge fan of it. Weeping Bell, same thing, but I like it a little bit more. Although Victory Bell, I am gonna put it in B tier just because it's mostly because of the anime. Where it's cries literally just it's screaming. Tentacool, I'm gonna put it in D tier. Mostly because I actually really like Tentacruel. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Tentacruel's really awesome of Pokemon, and just Tentacool looks like a. I mean, of course, it's supposed to be like a smaller version of Tentacruel, but it doesn't do it as well as some other Pokemon. Where it just seems like they took away. It's like I believe they may have started with Tentacruel, and then Tentacool came after, which is which would make sense to why it would uh honestly not really seem like it builds off of it more than it takes away from it. Geodude, it's a rock with arms. Uh, it's kind of stupid. It's Graveler, it's a rock with four arms. It's kind of stupid. Golem, I'm gonna put it in C tier, B tier. I think it's really interesting. Not really interesting, but it's decent Pokemon. I like its design. Its Alolan form is also really cool. Ponyta, it's a fire horse. I mean, I'm again, people like to dunk on generations like Gen 5 for some really bad designs. Fire horse, rock with arms, literal caterpillar. Like Gen 1 has some super boring designs, and we're just getting to some of the other ones. Grimer, Seal, Mach, Shelder, Cloyster, Krabby, and Kingler. I mean, like there's so many like generic designs. Although Rapidash, I'm gonna put it in C tier, just because I like the fact that it turns into a unicorn. It sucks otherwise to use. Slowpoke, I'm putting in A tier. No, I'm actually gonna put it in S tier. Because so one of my old teachers who got me back into Pokemon actually through the trading card game. He had a playmat, and it was literally of Slowpoke eating a cheeseburger, and it was like the funniest and greatest thing on the planet. So that's where my love for Slowpoke has come from. Plus, it's also just hilariously derpy and clueless, and it's beautiful. Slowbro, I'm gonna put it in A tier just because it's. I don't think that it should have been a. It should have became bipedal. It just looks kind of like I guess it's supposed to look awkward and just kind of like confused. So Magnemite, I'm gonna put it in A tier. No, I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's cool, but it's also just kind of. I haven't gotten to use Magneton or Magnemite that much, so I don't really have much of an attachment to it. Magnemite or Magneton. Every time I gotta record. Magneton going into C tier. For the same reasons Diglett and Dugtrio. Well, Dugtrio going down a tier. It's just three of the same Pokemon stuck together. Farfetch'd, aka Chiding. I want to put it in C tier. This was including Galarian forms and stuff. Farfetch would be up more, but regular Farfetch just isn't too interesting. And its exclusivity makes it kind of hard to have a connection to it since you have to trade it in Vermilion City, and that's the only way you can access it in Gen 1, or the remakes in Gen 3, or Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. You can only access it via trade, which makes it almost impossible to get unless you know about it. Doduo, I want to put it in A tier. I actually really like this Pokemon. It seems like they get along well. At least that's what I believe. But it's also just a dodo bird with two heads. It's really basic design, but I find it kind of funny. In Dodrio, I'm going to put down a tier similar to that of Diglett, Dugtrio, and Magnemite and Magneton. Is that it's just adding another head and some tail feathers. But it does also have a lot of personality compared to what it also adds a lot of personality compared to what Magneton and Dugtrio do. Next up, we have Seal, not Spheal. That's Gen 3. Seal, I'm gonna put it in C tier. Just kind of generic. Same with Dugong. Really generic Pokemon that don't really work out all that well. Grimer, I'm gonna put it in D tier just because it's, again, just like Dugong and Seal, really generic, and I'm not a huge fan of it. While Seal and Dugong, I actually don't mind. I think they're pretty interesting Pokemon to use at least. But Muck, I actually kind of like Muck. Muck is my like for Muck comes from the anime a bit more because of Ash's Muck. It's just kind of fun to watch. Shelter, I want to put it in C tier because of the tongue. It seems like a random thing they just decided to add on to the Pokemon because they needed some more personality to it. But to me, it works. So Vagina Clam, Cloyster going C as well. You know what? I want to put it in D tier just because for the same reason as Clefable. Toxic stalling with entry hazards is too common of a sight for me, and it really makes me hate this Pokemon. Ghastly, I'm gonna put it in C tier. This thing can learn elemental punches for some reason, and that's really dumb, but also really cool at the same, really funny at the same time. So it's like, where does it punch, or how does it punch? But other than that, Ghastly's a really interesting Pokemon. Not Gengar, Hunter. I'm gonna put it in C tier as well. You know what? I'm gonna put it in A tier, a B tier. I think it builds on to. It doesn't build on to Ghastly that well, but even if you like take away Ghastly, Haunter's a really solid looking Pokemon, and it looks really nice. And for some reason in like Gen 3 and Gen 4, it has like a red glowing hand in the sprites. Gengar, I'm also gonna put it. I'm gonna put it in S tier just because, again, it's one of the mainstays of Kanto, and it's one of my favorite Pokemon from Kanto. It's such a cool design. It's got a really interesting backstory. And it's also really strong too. Next up, we have Onyx. I'm gonna put it in E tier. It's terrible. It's terrible stats wise. It's terrible move wise. Ability, nothing good about this Pokemon to use it on a team. It's just really generic to me. Like it's just a snake made of rock. I guess like you could then make that argument. It's like, oh, it's just like, oh, Charmeleon is just a lizard with a fire tail, like, or oh, Blastoise is just a tortoise with two cannons on its back. I mean, sure, but at least they have a little bit of personality, or at least an intrigue to it. Uh, Onyx doesn't have that. It's just big. Drowsy. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's a really solid design, but I don't know. I really like it. I don't know, I like Drowsy. Drowsy's cool. Same with Hypno. The weird, creepy pervert trying to kidnap children in forests. I don't know. Hypno is really cool. It has a phenomenal backstory alongside like Drowsy, and it has a lot of like darkness to it, and that's what I really like with Pokemon. That's why I really like Gengar, is because it has a lot of dark like Pokedex entries. Next up, we have Krabby. I'm gonna put Krabby in C tier, just because it's literally just a crab. Not much to say about it. Mr. Krabs is gonna go into A tier though. Again, it is just a crab, but it's I don't know. I really like King Lear for some reason. I don't get why. I really like King Lear, and its Gmax form is great. Voltorb and Electrode, putting them A tier just because I don't like these Pokemon. I find their design really boring. Same with the Execute. I don't really like Execute or Executor. Executor is similar to that of Slowbro and Slowpoke, which I guess makes it okay to me, but it's I don't know why I just don't have a I'm not a fan of it. I typically am seeing it on I don't typically see it either, so it's not like I have much of a connection to it. Cubone I'm putting in B tier. Uh, Again, just like Drowsy, Hypno, and Gengar, it's got really dark backstory in Pokedex entries since the skull it wears is of its dead mother. Marowak, I'm gonna put it in C tier. It doesn't really do anything like different, and that's unfortunate. Although it's still really solid design. So it's not much of a like a discredit to the Pokemon itself. More so than just like it doesn't. Like if Cubone didn't exist, Marowak would be B tier. Uh, so I still like the Pokemon. I'm not gonna say that like I don't. But Hitmonlee, going in S tier. Another one of my favorite Pokemon for Gen 1. Same with Hitmonchan. Both gonna go into A tier, S tier because Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, two of the greatest martial arts related people on the planet. And the fact that they have Pokemon based off of them is really awesome. I love using Hitmonlee in like on all of my playthroughs of Gen 1, whether it be in Red and Blue, Fire Red, Leaf Green, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I always have a Hitmonlee on my team. Just because it's such a great looking Pokemon. And it's also, I don't know, I just really like it. Lickitung is similar to that of Farfetch'd, and I'm trying to find where I put Farfetch'd. Oh, in C tier. So I'm actually gonna put Lickitung in A tier because I really like its design. It is kind of like Slowpoke Slowbro. It's just really derpy looking, and I like that. Coughing and Wheezing. I'm gonna put Coughing in D tier. I just don't really care for it. And Wheezing, I like a little more. They have really cool move sets and that you could work with. Which honestly kind of saves a little bit for me, which I'm actually gonna move Wheezing to B tier. Rhyhorn, I'm gonna put it in C tier. Just kind of not a huge fan of it. Rhydon, uh, A tier. It's the very first Pokemon I ever created, so that are to me that warrants it being ranked really high. Chansey, this is another one because it's again just like Clefairy, Clefable, and Cloyster. The Toxic Sawing Stealth Rock stuff exists with Chansey, but how can you be mad at that thing? Like really, it's great. It's shiny, it's amazing, and everything. Uh, I don't like Terry. Kangaskhan, I'm gonna put it in C tier. I This is a tough one because I don't hate. I don't not like Kangaskhan, but I don't like Kangaskhan. So really, I feel like C tier is probably a good placement. Its Mega form is one of the reasons why I hate Mega Evolution. Parental Bond is a terrible ability. Not a terrible ability, like at all, but it's terrible in the sense that it's ruined so many games. Horsey, I'm gonna put it in D tier, just not too interesting. It doesn't have too much personality. Seadra kind of builds a little bit on that. It adds a little bit of personality, but it's still not that great of a design. Goldeen, gonna go into E tier. It's super. It's I know it's meant to be like a basic design. Uh, Seaking, D tier, same reason. Like they're cool Pokemon, but I'm just personally not a fan. Staryu, I'm also gonna put it in E tier, like, just like Goldeen Sea King. It's a basic design. I don't hate the Pokemon. I just find it kind of unappealing. Staryu though, I actually wait. I have it backwards. Staryu, Starmie is C tier. I don't mind Starmie. It's the double star kind of looks really nice. Plus, when it's animated, it looks really nice. Because it looks like it's just like a back like accessory. Mr. Mime, I'm actually gonna put it in D tier. Not a huge fan of it. It's kind of weird and it's kind of creepy. I don't know. I guess I'm just not a huge fan of mimes. Scyther, putting it in B tier. No, A tier. Yeah, no, B tier. Just because of the fact that I don't really have much of a connection to it. Never really had a shot to use it since it's always been so rare. Outside of Legends Arceus, of course, but I actually don't have that on my team. Jinx, I actually don't mind Jinx. A lot of people hate Jinx, but I don't mind Jinx. Jinx is okay in my book. Uh, Interesting typing, even though it's not very good. And other than that, it's kind of basic, but it isn't my one of my favorites, but it's definitely not one of my least favorites. Electabuzz, S tier. I love Electabuzz. Electabuzz and Electivire. Electivire is my personal favorite Pokemon of all time. So, although Fuecoco is definitely up there, but Electabuzz, it birthed Electivire, so Magmortar, not Magmortar, Magmar. Similar reasons to Electabuzz. I love Magmortar. That and because Magmar's Japanese name is Booba, so boob, haha, funny. Pinsir, I'm also gonna put it in S tier. The trio of or technically the four of Gen 1, throwing in Scyther with that. And I guess you could also say Jinx. So it's like a big group of 5. Although Scyther and Pinsir are typically classified on their own. Pinsir's just really cool of a design. Its Mega Evolution is also an interesting design, but again, I'm trying not to factor that in. Because if it was, Slowbro would be like down here. Oh, I forgot where Slowbro was supposed to be slotted in here. I think it's right there. Does it come before or after Dodo? That looks like it's where it's supposed to be. But Pinsir, I really like its design. Plus the anime goes. Pinsir is the biggest. Is my favorite of his Pokemon. Tauros. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I don't really have too strong of an opinion on Tauros. It's an interesting design. Ash owns 30 of them, so he must love them. Magikarp F tier. I mean, really, it's Magikarp. Gyarados, this is going to be a shocking one, but I actually don't care for Gyarados. It's a really, really cool design, but I just don't like it. To me, water flying is an awful defensive typing. Running into any electric move is a death sentence for it, whether it's physical or special, because it's got terrible defensive stats. Lapras, I'm putting in C tier again. I don't really have too strong of an opinion on it. I don't mind using it. It's an interesting Pokemon. Ditto, I'm putting it in B tier. Not super interesting, but the fact that Ditto can become anything and steal your life is beautiful, and I want it to. Actually, I don't want it to. If you want it to happen, that's kind of sad. Eevee, it's one of the mainstays of Pokemon. It's hitting up there with Pikachu as the mascot of Pokemon. Surprised they didn't go for like a newer Pokemon like Rockruff or like one of the starters like Greninja or something. Vaporeon. So I'm gonna rank all three of these. So Jolteon's my favorite of the evolutions. Yeah, in general, I really like. Every time I'm recording, I gotta yawn. Jolteon is my favorite evolution. It's one of my favorite electric types to use in Gen 1. Next to Electabuzz. If I'm not using Electabuzz, I'm using Jolteon. Because it's either that or I'm either running like Charizard, Vaporeon, and Electabuzz, or like Blastoise, Jolteon, and something else. Flareon, I just don't really care for it. It's just Eevee but red or orange, more or less. Porygon, I'm gonna put it in D tier. I also don't really care for it. It's not super interesting. Although I like Porygon Z, but Porygon 1 is not too interesting. Lord Helix, S tier, don't really need to explain that. Lord Helix's evolution, it's not Lord Helix. Kabuto, I'm gonna put it in A tier. Kabuto is a really interesting design. It's got the little eyes on top that are like decoy eyes, and then it's got the real eyes underneath, which is like, what does Kabuto actually look like without the shell? Kabutops, I really like Kabutops. Too bad Lord Helix. I refuse to use anything other than Lord Helix on my team. Regardless of if I'm using Blastoise as my starter or Charizard. Aerodactyl. Not super into Aerodactyl, but I like Aerodactyl. It's really cool looking. Super fast and strong. Snorlax is another one of those Pokemon I don't have a super strong opinion on. But it's not bad. Articuno, I don't like Articuno. Articuno is just it's plagued with so many drawbacks that just kind of ruin it. Zapdos, I'm putting it in A tier actually. It's a really interesting Pokemon, I think. Super sleek design. The sharp, spiky wings are really nice, plus the little black parts on the back. The fire chicken, I'm putting it in C tier. It's not a super strong opinion on it. It's interesting. I'd probably rank it like higher up in the C tier, and I might go through them and rank them by actual numerical order. Dratini, I'm gonna put in C tier. Again, don't have too high of or too extreme of views on it. Although I don't really care for Dragonair because it's just longer Dratini. Dragonite, I'm gonna put it in A tier actually. Just because it's again one of the mainstays of Kanto, but I feel like it's not as big of one. Mewtwo, I'm gonna put in A tier just because I'm not super big into Mewtwo, even though it is one of the faces of Kanto. And lastly, Mew is going into A tier. It's got a really interesting design or backstory, since it is like the ancestor of all Pokemon, including Mewtwo. Mewtwo's birthday passed a month ago, so happy belated birthday, Mewtwo, I guess. But there we go. That's how I would rank all Gen 1 Pokemon. Uh, there's gonna be a couple of like hot takes here, like Tangela, Gyarados, Venusaur, Bulbasaur, Exeggutor, Dugtrio, as well as other Pokemon like Kakuna and Beedrill. Hey, these are my thoughts on Pokemon. I do have a lot of hot takes when it comes to Pokemon that people don't like to agree on, but that's how I see it. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like a uh, okay, there we go. I can zoom out. So here is the full shot. So here are all of my Pokemon I have selected, or not that I've selected, but that I have ranked. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that like B and C tier have like the exact same amount of Pokemon, as well as A and D tier almost having the same amount of Pokemon. I felt like B tier was probably gonna be like super filled, but I don't know. So next time I'm gonna be going through Gen 2. Now Gen 2 is gonna be an interesting one because there's gonna be a lot of negative things I'll have to say about Gen 2. So watch out for that. Uh, that's gonna be a nightmare to go through. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.